One thing you need to know about Dustin is that he often rubs meat juice on his camera.
On his camera. He appreciates the ambiance of the liquid. He's in a sort of amber light, very diffused.
I'm getting
It's getting more
bad
diffused.
internet speed.
What if we just started the podcast?
I mean, we could.
Do we need anything from him? I mean, insights.
Do we ever need anything from him?
Insights. We didn't get any good gossip.
No, but that's okay.
There probably isn't any. All right, Survivor. Oh, yeah, no, this was a good Survivor.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that. So I haven't watched Lazarus. I watched like a little bit of the first episode, but then I stopped.
Okay.
Did we talk about the fact that I'm very annoyed that it's only dubbed?
No, we didn't talk about it, but we also had the same reaction.
So annoying.
Like, I mean,
why? I do want to watch it, but the first 10 minutes I was watching, I'm like, oh, this is just so low energy, and like it's not bad, it's just fine. Like it's very, it feels very Adult Swim level dubbing.
Yeah.
And I really just wish that they would give me the option of the
subtitles.
Japanese.
Yeah. Which will be an option at some point, but it is annoying that this isn't being run through.
Yeah. Apparently there's some licensing thing where they're like part of the deal they made was that they would delay the Japanese audio.
Yeah. Oh, no, that makes total sense.
Which is frustrating, but
yeah.
Anyway.
No, I'm annoyed. It's good though. I mean, like I've been enjoying the show. It definitely is like it's no Cowboy Bebop. It's like it doesn't have the it's not as like philosophical. It's not as like kind of in that but it leans so heavily on the action. And I do think like the plot and the action and the characters, it's the ragtag group continues to be interesting. Right. The action is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the just general like storyline, like the sort of the way it breaks down episodically is interesting. Like their pursuit of the guy is broken into these chunks that are kind of unexpected, I guess, in good ways. Like every single one is a dead end, but it's really interesting. Like the ways in which they're kind of dead ends. Like they're struggling so hard to find this guy, and the leads that they come up with are like inventive and like. So that is satisfying. It's just, it does feel like it's a lot of sort of, it's missing something.
It weirdly, and I mean, I've only seen like half of the first episode, but it almost feels too normal.
Yeah.
Like or too straightforward. Like where obviously Cowboy Bebop or Samurai Champloo have very weird energies and their own specific, genre mashup that they're doing.
Genre mashups and like detours and nothing's ever a straight line. Yeah. And this is not that. It is very...
Yeah. Or even like, I mean, Kids on the Slope is pretty straightforward, but something about, I think, the fact that it's a period piece makes it feel like, it almost feels like earned that like, no, this story is supposed to be just slow and you're just following these people.
Yeah. And I'm not sure, like, I think I want to stick with it and just see where it goes, because like there's a possibility it's going to kind of
turn
or pick up in some way that's unexpected. And I do really so far like the characters quite a bit, but it doesn't have the sort of unexpected surprises that you would sort of. Although there are these little moments, like I love there's this one kind of like beat cop that's it like pops up in every episode just in the neighborhood, and then there's this stray cat that hangs out outside of their like hideout, and every episode has something involving the cat, just doing a cat thing and something involving this dude.
Wait,
and
is
then
the beat cop the mustache guy who like let the criminal go at the beginning?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he keeps
he was
coming.
Very funny.
Yeah, he keeps popping up.
Yeah.
So the most recent episode actually is like him walking by outside of the hideout, and the stray cat jumps on him. And so it's like the meeting of these two, like just incidental sort of figures in the fabric of the show. It's like kind of nice.
That's fun.
Yeah, there are moments. But yeah, so far it's really like the action is the point, which I enjoy. Like I continue to be like, wow, they really animated.
Mm-hmm.
The way they wove it into the animation is fantastic.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I do want to keep watching Lazarus. Yeah. I'm behind on stuff.
It is weird. Like I'm so used to watching anime with subtitles that it's very jarring hearing it dubbed. Although the one exception, I don't know why my husband decided, like, because now that we have Crunchyroll or whatever, he was like, oh, I never like, I'm going to watch Dragon Ball Super. I never watched that arc. And he only will watch Dragon Ball dubbed because it's just something about like that was the way he first saw it when he was a kid, because that was how it was aired.
Yeah.
So that is like to him the one exception to the always subtitled rule. He'll like go out of his way to find it dubbed. Yeah. It's like I will watch Dragon Ball dubbed. And I realized like I would feel the same way about Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
Like those shows that I watched as a kid on TV because they were dubbed.
Yeah. Oh, Dustin's camera really is cleaner now.
Wow.
Well, I just wiped it off.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We were joking about the meat sweat.
Yeah. And it's clearer, and I got the speed back.
All right.
Oh, good.
Well, we talked about Lazarus, so
yeah.
Oh, I didn't miss anything. Great.
How dare you?
Oh my
Dustin.
gosh.
But yeah, we might as well start the show. Oops, no, that's not the right timer. I need a full hour. Welcome to another episode of Podjiba, the Pajiba television podcast. I'm speaking slower than I normally do, which is weird. I'm Pajiba comedy editor Dan Hamamura. With me, as always, are Pajiba managing editor Tori Preston.
Hello, Dan.
Hello, Tori. And Toby Leron, Dustin Rolls.
Hello, Dan. I can't.
These are our NPR voices. We're probably going to give up on about now. But
were you trying to say Toblerone?
That's what I was eating when the podcast started. We went to the Virgin Islands and we got one of those $15 Toblerones from the duty-free shop on the way home.
Is there any other place you can even buy them?
Well, we get big ones, but not that big. Every holiday, my wife's obsessed with Toblerone, so we get the big ones, but not like this big. I don't know. These are like 5-pounders.
But like, I mean, you eat it, or is she so obsessed that it was like, oh, we bring this home and we never touch it? This is our
we
giant Toblerone.
You eat it. It'll be gone before Wednesday.
How is it not already gone?
Well, we didn't start till today because she was going to take it to work, but then one of the kids broke into it. So she couldn't take it.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, drat.
Damn.
Darn, I guess we'll have to eat it.
One fun story from St. Croix. It's one of the Virgin Islands, but it's the one that Jimmy Buffett hates and refuses to ever go to because he went once and he performed and he got mugged after the show, and then he like had lifelong animosity toward it, which makes me happy because Jimmy Buffett was like he's my least favorite musician of all time.
Oh,
I'm sure he's a very nice guy, but that music, oh God, the worst.
I take it you've never enjoyed a cheeseburger in paradise?
I have not, no. I mean, if you're going to go to paradise, there are better things than cheeseburgers.
Are there? What if it was a really good cheeseburger?
Well,
that's right. We did not have an episode last week, which all of you listening to this know, because Dustin had to go on vacation.
Yeah.
So, it's
Real
his fault.
shame.
Just in case you were wondering.
And he refused to podcast from there, which, was a little insulting.
Interestingly, I probably would have had better internet.
That's true. But anyway, we're back. As usual, we have too much TV. We should probably move as quickly as we can. Dustin, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking the usual of vodka, grapefruit juice, and seltzer.
But did you have any interesting cocktails on vacation?
I had several palomas, which is basically this with tequila.
With tequila.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm drinking a tequila paloma right now.
Oh.
In a can.
I really love a paloma.
So yeah, it's really good.
We're doing grapefruit juice over here, Dan. Are you going to mess up the streak?
I am having, but it is fruit related.
Okay.
Oh, is it that beer?
Because I'm having my first mango beer of the year, mango wheat ale.
Delicious.
Because it's warm enough and it's nice and light.
Wait, Dustin, did it rain all weekend for you?
Yes.
Yeah, so you came back from beautiful sunshine and it was just gross.
But then today was wonderful.
Today was wonderful. Last week was wonderful, and then it was just a terrible weekend the rain turned to snow at one point.
Oh God, we did not get
at my house. Yeah, it was great.
The whole time I was in St. Croix, just thought, why would Dan ever leave Hawaii?
Well, not a lot of jobs in entertainment.
I suppose not. No, that's probably
Although
true.
now all the shows are there.
Yeah,
that's true. Although it's getting worse because not as many shows are going, and I don't think either they didn't renew the tax credit or they didn't expand it. There was like a bill up in the Hawaii legislature that I think they tabled, which was going to try to address because some of the issues are that it's expensive, right? Relatively. So they wanted better tax credits and they did not pass them. So we'll see.
Which is why there's not going to be a 911 Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean they did cite that the cost was why they moved it to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
But anyway.
Well, you know what island is apparently great to shoot at because they keep doing it? Fiji.
Yes.
That's true.
They don't even look at other places anymore. They just shoot at Fiji.
Did you ever?
I wonder.
You probably already knew. And for some reason, I didn't know until last week because I'd never bothered to research it after 49 seasons. Like, where is Fiji actually located?
What?
I know.
But like you had a vague idea of where Fiji was, at least.
I did not know it was closer to Australia than to like Hawaii.
Oh.
So right. I guess not.
But you at least knew it was in the Pacific.
Yes.
Okay.
But I never really thought about it or bothered. But then I was out near the equator and I was like, oh, how close is Fiji to the equator? I was just curious. And then noticed that it was closer to Australia or New Zealand, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, Hawaii is the most, I think it's the most isolated place. It might technically be the most isolated place on Earth, outside of, I don't know, Antarctica or something.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's nice. It's a nice place to go.
I bet it is.
Good food.
Now I really want to go.
Weather's pretty nice.
I know. Oh my God. I had no idea that, whatever.
You had no idea that beautiful island weather is great?
No, I didn't think it was going to be like that. I thought it was going to be like hot and and hot and like so hot you couldn't breathe or something.
It's not the desert.
I know, but it's near the equator, and I just assumed if you're near the equator, you must be really hot. But it's not because of the trade winds. Because it's a small island, and that never occurred to me.
You also have less variation because of the tilt of the planet.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And it's a small enough island that basically the wind covers the entire island. Is it that way in Hawaii too, where it's basically 75 to 85 every day?
Yeah, mostly.
God.
I think at the hottest it'll get to. I mean, it's not as humid as other parts of the world or country for sure, but it can get a little humid. But it is, yeah, like the hottest it gets usually is like low 90s. That's pretty hot. And then the coldest it gets is 60s. I mean, it'll go down to like the 50s sometimes, but that's pretty rare.
I find that very annoying about Los Angeles, and I would never want to live there, but in a place like that, I could live there. I understand now why people retire to places like that.
Retire?
Well, rich people.
I would retire anywhere if I had the money to. Like, it's not even about where you retire, it's that you've retired.
Yeah, I don't really plan on doing that ever.
No, you're going to work until forever.
Yeah.
You worked on vacation.
It's relaxing.
Is it?
When you're in the Virgin Islands working, it's really like, this is amazing. I would do this every day of my life.
Okay, so question, because you were writing like 5 posts a day. Like, did you ever like look for news to write about and kind of reject something because you're like, I don't want it to kill my vibe? Like, I'm on island time.
I didn't write about politics all week.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I only check the Times like twice a day, and that was the only political news I got for the entire week.
Yeah. What's the point of keeping up on it? Honestly, it changes all the time.
It's very depressing right now.
It is. But we've blown straight through my ingenious segue to Survivor, so maybe we should.
I was gonna say that we did ruin a perfectly good segue.
I set that up for you
yeah.
guys.
It was too. The problem is that Dustin apparently doesn't know where things are. So
I guess not.
That was unexpected.
Yeah. Survivor. We are on the jury. Obviously, we've on the podcast we haven't talked about 2 episodes, but it really feels like last week was the one to talk about.
Well, the week before was just setting up this week,
right?
Because this really was like the payoff for what we saw the week before.
Yeah. So David of Stuntman, my girlfriend won't marry me unless I'm win the money. Maybe she's my ex-girlfriend. It's unclear.
Is ex now? Well, definitely is ex now.
Yeah,
definitely is.
On the island
that was in
kind
the interview.
of referring to her in both past and present tense.
Yeah.
And anyway, the kind of nominal head of the Strong Guy Alliance got voted out.
Have you ever seen a more uncomfortable
Have you ever seen someone blow up his own game like that?
Yes. But not after he was voted out, just like it was so tense and uncomfortable.
Yeah, he was very sad.
He did not handle it well.
Yeah.
He was not a stable human being.
There are definitely people who have gone out and been like mad or tried to. Every once in a while, someone will like spill a secret to like try to blow up someone else's game.
Right.
But that was definitely one of the more tense ones in recent memory, for sure.
But he also acted like it was a surprise or a blindside. But like in the interviews afterward, he was like, "I knew it was coming."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you watch the episode, it was clearly going to be him or Mitch, and I think they edited more to make us think that Mitch might go home more than the possibility actually existed.
Right.
I was actually surprised that Eva played it as well as she did, because I thought it was David, and then at Tribal, the way she was talking, I was like, oh, she's sticking with her alliance. Oh no. Like, I was kind of impressed at how I wasn't expecting her to have that level of performance. Which makes me wonder how long the Tribal was and how it was edited. But
he was he was clearly a douchebag, and
he sucked.
Yeah,
he did it to himself. And I'm the one thing I'm angry about is that nobody in the Alliance called out the fact that he just dragged Mary in, and none of them had a say in it. I know that like Eva was tight with her as well, but like he's sitting there targeting Camilla and then targeting Kyle or Shaheen of all people for thinking they have some sort of alliance with Camilla that's outside of,
right.
And it's like, no, like, meanwhile, Mary's piping in, and it's like, she's not a part of your strong five. Like,
right.
Did anyone have a conversation about this? And I love Mary. I want her to do well, but it very much was like, why is no one, like, she's sitting there. I'm like, why is no one talking about that?
I like Mary a lot too, except until she sort of latched onto David, which is a weird person for her to latch onto.
I'm really curious to see like how all of that, I'm well, I guess we won't see it, but I'm bummed that they didn't develop that relationship very much, because I'm curious to know how they ended up being kind of paired together, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it's like it came out of nowhere. It was suddenly like, and they're very strong, and it was like.
And I haven't read any of the exits or anything for David. I have heard that apparently, like, he made it sound like Mary was kind of like latching onto him, so like he didn't necessarily like it, at least the way that he's spinning it, he didn't necessarily like think of her as his number one or anything. But which makes me think really more that it's an under edit of Mary's game, that she came in alone and had to figure out basically a way to survive. And so her way of surviving was, I'm going to latch onto this guy. And then, try to weasel into the strong person alliance. But now that he's gone, I'm very curious to see whether because it doesn't seem like the rest of them are particularly close with her.
Right.
That, again, just based on the edit. Like, does she flip? Does she go back to kind of like the outcast side, or
does she just kind of inherit his position?
Yeah.
Like, did no one?
Yeah.
Because it is interesting. Like, she's the one that was kind of whispering in his ear everything, and he would execute it. And the fact is, like, as paranoid and nuts as he is, like, they were right about Kyle and Camilla.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the part. It's like.
Yeah, it kind of felt like she had the right read, and then was using him to try to make things
and unfortunately
happen.
Latched onto a very paranoid, like, alpha bro racehorse in this. It was like, I think she definitely spun him up, like or at least the edit made it look like she was really flaming, fanning his flames, but like he was on the edge anyway. And I'm wondering, and it's almost like, how much worse was it in person? Because for somebody like Joe and Eva to actually like take that action at that stage of the game, I think says a lot, because all they had to do, like, because now the numbers are pretty much even. Like, now that they've knocked their own alliance down.
Right.
It's unclear even like where are Shaheen and Kyle now, because they got Camilla on the other side. It feels like those three are tight, and then Joe and Eva are tight, and then the other, like, I thought Star would go to the Mitch side, but she was trying to get Mitch out. No.
She's
all over the place.
She's a free agent. She's a free agent. She's just like, whatever will get me longer. Like, she's not that strong. But she's a wonderful person.
Yeah.
Like, I'm rooting for her, but like, and very funny. I do think Joe and Shaheen are still really tight. And technically, Shaheen is not in any kind of alliance with Camilla. He just likes her.
Right.
And thought the entire thing was insane. Kyle is... Nobody realizes how deep he is with Camilla. And like...
But didn't they came out of the
mid-merge,
swap,
like the
as a 4, right?
Sort
I mean
of.
nominally.
Like they did, but then it was like once they formed the strong person, Camilla was on the outs. And it's like they respect her. They're not trying to screw her over, but she's not in their alliance because she's not, and the whole thing, I mean, it was just really painful because like what I did appreciate was Camilla kind of pointing out at Tribal, like, you're not... And I love how she just thinks that David is an idiot and can't help herself, and how she kind of tamped that down for the Tribal, because it was just like very pointed, like, you're not thinking about the jury.
Right.
And the reality is, like, even if David hadn't spun out, like, unless he had an unbroken string of immunity wins, he was never going to win this game. He would not get the $1 million because he has been the most vocal kind of proponent of this, like, not just a strong alliance, but this form of gameplay where everyone is honest, only the best survive, and like, essentially you're demeaning the gameplay of everyone who's getting sent to the jury.
Right.
You're putting them down and acting like it's not a valid way to play, and it is. It's just that they are strengths that aren't physical.
Right.
Some people are better at puzzles, some people are better at the social game, some people are what. That's all different kinds of strength, and you can put it down.
Right.
But like at the end of the day, you're going to be sitting in a even if you make it to the final 3, you've got a bunch of people on that jury that you've dismissed.
Right.
And they're not going to give you the $1 million. And I love that Camilla kind of like was able to present that even if he was on his way out.
Right.
Like,
I mean, the interesting thing is that, I mean, I know David is notably not like a survivor diehard, the way that a lot of the players are these days. But he didn't even present the argument in kind of like the framing, if you want to do that, which is a way to play, but it's arguably the most difficult, is that the strong players generally do not make it to the end because it's both the toughest route because people target you, and the toughest route because that type of game is not as respected. So like you could almost make the case and say, I want to play it the hardest way possible, which is to make it as a physical threat. And whether that works or not, obviously it didn't work here, but like at least then you're kind of making an argument of saying like, I actually played a harder game.
Like I didn't backstab anyone. I did it purely on my own physical whatever. I held my alliances. But it was also interesting because he's in a strong 5 alliance, which is now 6 people, but he's talking about how they're going to all go to the final 3. And it's like, your math isn't mathing. At some point, your alliance is you will have to pick each other off.
Right.
And do you think that's going to be all above board and everyone agrees?
Is meat shield a new term this season? I don't
know.
No.
We've heard that before.
Yeah. I mean, people talk a lot about shields, but
meat
shield also is kind of like a gaming term too.
Oh, I never heard.
Like video game.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've heard meat shield before.
It is interesting because in the Australian Survivor they had a strong physical player who did make it to the end, and then he just got like blown out by the strategy guy.
Yeah. I mean, and what's interesting is like if they had held this alliance, if they actually could get 3 strong players in the final 3 whose strength or at least not strong, but like
they got Joe, Eva,
physical.
And David.
If they got Joe, Eva, and David at the end, that would have been kind of interesting because you don't have that strategic element to go up against. So you're really looking at, you all played the exact same game.
Right.
But the difference is...
Then it comes down to social game.
It comes down to social, and it's like... And the one thing is that, like, you have Joe and Eva, like, potentially split a vote, but I do think the jury would pick one or the other. But the thing about Joe and Eva is they had such a unique social bond alliance that they would have been true to. And that's the thing, like looking at that 5 or 6 person alliance, if you had formed a final 3 out of any of them, David wouldn't have won. Like, I think the only way David could have won is literally like he would have had to win every immunity challenge and have it be such an incredibly strong physical game that becomes the argument. Like, there has never been another player like me, and that just wasn't
right.
That didn't happen. He lost to Joe in that very important, and it was such a dumb law. I mean, you feel bad, but like, and even at that, it was like you kind of knew he was a sore loser.
He did look really pissed.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have lost. Like, I'm not trying to take away from your game, Joe, but like, I shouldn't have lost. Like, well, that's the point of Survivor. Anyway, I'm super happy he left.
There seems to be a lot of debate on Reddit anyway about Joe and whether he's good or a weak player. And people seem to think that little speech he gave where he got really hurt when David called him out for
flopping, which he didn't. They all agreed. Yeah.
Well, they seem to think that indicates that he's a weak player.
No.
I thought he was very Godfather-esque in that moment.
Yeah. I think his weakness is that, like, at the end of the day, I think he'll capsize his game for Eva.
Yeah.
I think like that honorable. Is the one thing. I think it's honorable, it's whatever, but it's like I do think.
Yeah, he feels like he's going to, almost like he's trying to, he wants the opportunity to fall on his sword.
Yes.
Yeah. But his honor thing, like I do understand maybe the perspective of like you're going a little hard on the honor shtick in that moment. Like I would never have, like I didn't go back on my word. I didn't go back on, but like on the other hand, David was talking some bullshit, and he's absolutely right. Like David was trying to change reality, to put Joe in a position where, like, you know, he could be manipulated, and it's like that wasn't what happened.
That's the like
they all agreed to vote Chrissy,
and it's very interesting to see in the same episode 2 people dealing with Joe, so David and Kyle, and David taking this tactic of accusing him of basically the one thing he doesn't want to be accused of.
Right.
And Kyle being like, I'm going to open up emotionally and let you comfort me, which is what you want.
Right.
Yeah. You want to be a dad.
Yeah.
I am continuing to be really impressed. Like when Kyle and Camilla kind of formed their little super secret alliance, I definitely thought Camilla was going to be Kyle would be the more obviously strong, but like Camilla would be kind of running things. And I think the past couple, especially like once Camilla got targeted, seeing everything Kyle has done to protect her, I'm like, actually, Kyle is kind of the stronger one in the alliance. I'm curious to see, like, if they continue for the next few, episodes, like how, hopefully Camilla's safe for a while. If she can get closer to the end game, what she pulls out.
Yeah.
Because right now, if both of them were to end up on the final 3, I think Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle walks away. He did more for her than she did for him so far.
Yeah.
But his social game is.
Yeah. And the tough spot is that she obviously has to kind of, by nature of their positions where they are in the tribe, she has to sit back.
She has to. Yeah.
But the fact that they've managed to keep this going, and it seems like people still haven't fully caught on, other than David, and David's gone.
Yeah. Like right now I'm feeling like one of the 2 of them is going to win, because I think it's just from a story point of view, assuming like it's just such a, like, just all I can think about is like, what is if people haven't figured it out by the time you get to the final 3 and it gets revealed, like, no, from the start we were an alliance and we ran things and you didn't notice it, unless they're sitting next to each other. If either one of them gets to the final 3 and they reveal that,
it does feel like one of them will probably have to go and be like the advocate on the jury for the other. But which often happens in these duos. But
but it's kind of, I don't know. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I just want to say,
it is
go ahead.
interesting.
I just wanted to say
good.
That Joe is not going to win, but he is going to get to be a series regular on Fire Country next year.
You think so? Wait, he is?
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like he's building a game toward becoming a member of Fire Country on CBS.
It's a big hit, Dustin.
Do you watch it because Jared Padalecki is on it?
Is he? No, I don't watch that. I had no idea. I just know that there's and
he? They brought him in after Walker got canceled. I think he joined the cast.
Oh. I've never watched it, but I
don't think he's like a lead, but I think he's like somebody.
And Joseph
Well, they're doing a spinoff.
Oh yeah, see, that's perfect for Joe.
Sheriff Country.
Yeah,
Sheriff Country.
No, so he's going to be a firefighter.
Right.
No, I know. The spinoff is called Sheriff Country.
Oh, it is. He'll be the firefighter.
They're doing it's like the Chicago's, only it's the countries.
Oh,
I don't know. Pretty soon, what would be the next one? Doctor Country.
It
doesn't have a ring to it. Country Doctor.
People watch these shows.
That changes
Doctor, Country Doctor.
Gosh.
Anyway, that's Survivor. We have spent about half our episode, which is great.
That's great.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to mention, while we're on competition shows, there is a competition show on Netflix that recently came out. It is called Battle Country. I'm sorry, Battle Camp. Battle Camp. Not Battle Country. Battle Country is a very different show. Battle Camp. It is a Netflix reality competition show featuring it's in similar fashion to Perfect Match. It is a all-star show where it is comprised of people from other Netflix reality shows, and they come in here. They're sent to the theme of it is kind of like it's nominally summer camp-esque. So they're playing like weird games, and they're in like different cabins, and the cabins are all teams. And they play these competitions. What?
Color games.
What is
That's
color
what they
games?
do. Oh, and summer camp, they break up into color games. They have like and then they have different
Yeah, basically. Exactly. I mean, I never got to go to summer camp, so I don't know. And the one thing that is interesting, so they do all this stuff, you play these games. The people who lose are in jeopardy of, being eliminated. But the way they handle elimination is if you lose at the game, then there are two different games per episode, and then you're potentially up for elimination if you lose. And then everyone also gets to vote. Put up one name up for elimination. But instead of them doing like majority vote or anything like that, they put all the names on a big wheel, and then they spin the wheel. And then wherever it lands, that person's eliminated. So there have been people who go out where like their name's only on, there are 18 spots, so your odds are like 7%. But there have been people who've gone out where their name was only on there once, and then they still, just bad luck, they got eliminated. Anyway, it is.
It seems
I don't know if it's good. It's hard to. I don't think I would say that it's good, but it is very, like a lot of, I think, Netflix reality. It's fairly watchable. It also uses like similar music cues to like say Love Is Blind, where it's a lot of like pop and rock music that sounds like real pop and rock music, but is not. So that's fun if you enjoy that, which I do. I think the band that sounded like Imagine Dragons was the best. Not because they sounded like Imagine Dragons, but because it was so clearly not Imagine Dragons. And the host is Taylor Lewan, who played he was a lineman for Tennessee Titans for like about a decade, and he is very like pleasant in the middle. Like he's kind of like the perfect host for a Netflix reality show because he's very just in the middle. He doesn't like add anything to it, but he doesn't take anything away from it. It's just very like, I'm presenting this thing to you. It's very neutral. I am a neutral presence. You don't have to think anything about me.
It sounds like the Netflix version of The Challenge.
I guess so. I actually have never really watched Challenge, so
I've seen enough of it.
Okay, but yeah, that's probably appropriate based on what I know of the show. Yeah, and I mean the other part that's interesting is if you watch Netflix reality a lot, then you see familiar faces, you see people who know each other from their show, or like there were two people who kind of dated on
Wait, so these are
Perfect Match.
people from dating shows who are now in a more physical challenge
so it's
shows.
a mix. So there
Yeah.
are people from dating shows, there are people from like The Circle is like a social game, right?
Yeah.
Or there are a couple of people from The Mole, there are a couple of people from Cheer, like the docuseries.
What?
So they're just pulling people from the larger reality
Netflix universe,
of
yes.
Netflix. Yeah. And letting them get more screen time. So
They should have gotten people from the Korean reality shows too, though.
I mean, that would have been amazing to have people there, especially because they
like
probably
Fiscal 100
wouldn't,
or something. Like,
yeah, I mean, they would destroy the games, but
right.
they wouldn't know what's going on. So
True. Okay, fine.
no, I mean, I think that's a plus. That would be a fun thing to see.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's yeah, I don't know if it's good, but I have watched most of it. So
what are you thinking of the season of Top Chef Canada?
It's been fun. I'm trying to remember what's his name, who is like kind of taking over, it seems like.
Tristan is the guy that's
Tristan is like, Tristan feels like, right, I mean, the danger is always like that you peak too early, but
right.
he seems like the right mix of skill as a chef and creativity.
Because like Tristan and Cesar are.
Cesar, I think, is too much creativity, not enough skill.
And the woman that's actually in Last Chef, she's really good.
Who's actually what?
In Last Chef, who got eliminated.
Katiana. She's really good. Yeah. The original, I originally thought that Vinny might be the front runner because he's like the most fine dining guy, but it seems like he's not. So far, he hasn't been. He hasn't pushed his creativity enough. So he's like technique, but not creativity.
Right.
And if he was able to up that side of his game, I could see him winning. But you know,
he was the
see.
guy that reminded me of Buddha, just because he was a kiss ass.
Right, except that Buddha is actually insanely creative.
Yeah, right.
Like the stuff that he was making was beyond everybody else.
Yes.
Massimo is fun as a kind of a slightly obnoxious presence. But no, but I mean, he's a fun presence to have on the show.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't know. It's interesting because it does feel like a little bit of a subdued cast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, other than Massimo, there aren't like giant personalities. No one's really blowing anybody away yet, except for, I mean, Tristan comes the closest, but he's also so chill that it doesn't seem like it doesn't feel like Buddha, who was, seemed nice, but also knew he was very, very good.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I enjoy it. I'm still excited to watch it. I hope Katiana comes back.
I definitely think she will. I don't think there's. Yeah, she's. I think top 3.
Yeah, I was thinking that I don't think they would ever do this because it would be too expensive for the show. But because the second Last Chance Kitchen winner usually comes back at 5, it made me think, since they always do Restaurant Wars at 8, so it's 4 on 4, right? What I would love for them to do once is the Last Chance Kitchen winner comes back at 5. They do a second Restaurant Wars, but they get to choose from like the eliminated chefs. But when the two restaurants go up against each other, they're the only. Obviously, the other people are out of the competition, so they're the only one up for elimination. So if their restaurant loses, they're out. But if their restaurant wins, then they're back in, and someone else goes home.
That would be fun.
It would be fun. It would be too expensive and too stressful, but free idea, Top Chef. Just do it once. It'll be fine. It'll be great.
Tori, tell us about Last of Us. The End of Us? The Last of Us?
The Last of Us.
The zombie show.
Oh my god. The zombie show. So Joel's dead.
He is.
A fact
What?
that a fact that Dustin spoiled for Kalina in our Slack.
Sorry. I thought it was everywhere. Also, but like reading
No, it doesn't matter.
Your recap, I like Joel was not in the game anyway. He's not like the beloved figure that he is.
He is. How do you mean?
I don't know. It just feels like maybe he's not as liked. He wasn't liked as much.
He was very liked, but I think, and this is, I think, getting into, and I've been trying to kind of like in the recaps not get into, I'm waiting to see where I need more of the second season to kind of decide. But the second game was pretty controversial. A lot of people really, really loved it. And it was great. A lot of people really didn't, and the reasons why they didn't were all over the map. Some of them were mad just because Joel died, and you play as Joel in the first game, so it was very like, he's my guy, and then he gets killed off. And now you're forcing me to play as his killer, because the second game, you split time evenly between playing as Ellie and playing as Abby.
Oh, I didn't know
so
that.
That's what makes the second game so interesting, because you have these two characters and they're on a collision course, and you have to play as both of them. You'll do a chapter as Ellie as she's pursuing Abby, and then you do a chapter as Abby where it's just her life. Something's getting in the way, and like maybe she gets a hint that somebody's coming for her or whatever, but it's like you kind of are charting. And by the time they finally come together for their conflict, you've always understood Ellie, you now have more sympathy for Abby. And the whole point is that Abby and Ellie are very similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ellie is pursuing the person who killed her father. Abby pursued the person who killed her father.
Right. But
the whole point is that they both
play as once they match up.
I think you play as Ellie, but
you have to kill the person that you have been.
I don't want to spoil that. I don't.
Okay.
I mean, do you want me to just tell you?
I don't. No.
Okay.
Definitely not.
The point is that
I had no idea that Joel died.
Well, but similar to the first game, there are all these kind of moral questions, and what made it interesting as a video game was that you, as a player, you actually didn't have any choice. The story is the story, you just execute it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You move through a map, but like what happens you don't get to choose as Joel whether or not to save Ellie at the end of the game. The only option is to kill the Fireflies and save Ellie. That is how you beat the game. So the whole point was it kind of puts you in this position where it's like you kind of think about like, is this the right decision? What would you do? Whatever. But like, you're also helpless. You are forced to do something that you may or may not think is wrong. And that kind of helplessness continues. The story is the story. Whether you like playing as Abby or not, you have to play as her. Whether you like what Ellie is doing or not, you have to play as her to continue the story. But what happens in that story, you have no say in. And that was what I always kind of appreciated about both games, is that like they kind of pose these interesting moral questions. And as much as you like, because it's very easy to say, well, I'm a spectator to a TV show, but in the video game, I'm involved. And the reality is like, actually, you're not. You kill some zombies, you collect some stuff, but like, there is only one story that you progress through. You do not get options for how events can unfold. So, yeah, that led to a lot of feelings for people, especially when it came to the second game. Some of them were just mad that Abby her character design was very, she was jacked. She was super strong. And so you also had gamers who were just mad that they had to play as a what they considered a not feminine looking woman. Like, I mean, it was just like they're gamers. So people were mad about a lot of stuff. And I've always kind of been curious how HBO would sort of navigate that, and how Craig Mazin and Neil Druckerman would navigate that, coming from being able to see all of those reactions to the game and wonder, like, how would you chart that? They were more or less faithful in the first season, because it was a very strong story. They could kind of add flourishes here and there. They could change. They can add that whole episode with Nick Offerman and Murray, Bartlett. That was a change from the game, but it was a change from the game that didn't impact the plot.
Mm-hmm.
It may change what you think about certain things, but it really didn't change. It didn't impact things. The second season, they're already making changes that actually are going to impact the plot. And yeah, I think a lot of it is Joel dies. Joel was always going to die. I was impressed that they didn't drag it out. They killed him in the second episode. The show is now, the question is the show Ellie's show, or are they going to give you more from Abby's point of view? Certainly in the third episode, we don't see Abby at all. So whether they're going to do one episode on, one episode off, or how they're going to balance that at all, if they will, I'm certainly curious to see. People obviously feel very strongly about, and I think that's the question. Like, can you ever, Pedro Pascal is like, I mean, he's
Right,
great.
yeah.
It does hit you harder in the show in some ways, like that you've lost this guy than it did in the game, I think. But
So
I don't,
you say in the game that Ellie and Tommy go out, but Tommy stays back here.
yes.
But does Dina go out in the game?
Yes. So
Okay.
what happens is, in the second game, it's actually Tommy and Joel are the ones that get captured by Abby, not Dina and Joel. So
Okay.
Tommy is there already when Joel is killed, and then Ellie and Dina are patrolling, and they're looking for Tommy and Joel, and Ellie then comes in right when Joel is, about to be killed. So they by adding this whole attack on Jackson thing, they keep Tommy behind, and they switch up so that Dina is out with Joel, Jesse is with Ellie, Tommy is at the city. And then it then proceeds. So now Joel dies. Tommy, having been there with him when he died, is much more obviously is more on a wavelength with Ellie. Like, we got to go out for revenge. He sets out, and then Ellie and Dina set out afterwards. And actually, they're tracking Tommy, tracking Abby. They're not going for Abby directly. In the show, they cut that. They have Tommy. They kind of do a couple of things that allow, more or less justify the release of some of that tension, right? Like, there's so much else going on in Jackson. Tommy is leader. He has to stay and help put the city back together. So all of it, the mission, all of the revenge really falls on Ellie's shoulders. And because she was hurt and healing, they have this kind of 3-month time jump where it's like, okay, well, yeah, it's not as immediate that he died, and he died with a whole bunch of other people from Jackson. So right. They actually made it a little less special, which, whether it was smart or not, it was a way to kind of change up that dynamic so that Ellie goes out and Tommy doesn't. This now is fully Ellie's mission. It will change the plot moving forward, because there are things that happen to Tommy that then Ellie and Dina come across. There are things that Tommy does that, they're reacting to. So the events could more or less unfold, but they're not going to be able to unfold in quite the same way, I think, in certain points, with the Tommy element gone, because it'll be Ellie kind of leading all of it, which isn't a bad thing. But I think it's symbolic of, like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, it's the same thing. It's like, it's too early to tell. Are they actually going to give equal time to Abby? Are they actually going to try and equalize her and dig into those tougher questions of, are they, really putting them on the same kind of level? Or is the show going the easy route and kind of saying, Ellie is our hero?
Mm-hmm.
Abby may have been, you can argue that, she was justified, but like, by not giving her the opportunity to be more sympathetic, the opportunity to really get into her point of view.
No, I don't think you cast Caitlin Deaver unless you want her to be sympathetic.
And I think that's, I'm hoping that but I think there needs to be some real equal time going on. And again, they have room for it. It sounds like this is not, they're expanding. I think it's already been renewed for a third season.
He said
So I don't
they said they
think
wanted 4 seasons. So if they do 4 seasons, are they going to stretch this second game into 4 seasons or create new storylines?
They could create new storylines. They can just I think there's a lot where they can kind of really drag their feet on some of the sort of incidents, because the second game unfolds over a lot of time. So they could kind of really dig in for a few episodes, do a time jump, dig in for a few episodes, do whatever. So,
oh, that's interesting. It's going to be a time jump.
Well, because it's similar to, like, think about in the first season where it's like, Joel and Ellie are traveling across the country, and so like we're not following them every step of the way. You come back to them for an episode when they enter a new area, and then it's what happens in that area, and then, hey, a month went by and now they're in another state and the season has changed, and now it's, you kind of have the opportunity to sort of expand and condense time that way around different conflicts. Part of me is curious if they're going to do this season as Ellie and the second season as Abby, and actually Ellie takes the back seat.
That would be
like, that's another way they could do that. So I'm very curious to see how they handle it. But mostly, like, in the video game, it's.
I would just say, from what you're saying, we're not going to have a confrontation between Ellie and Abby anytime soon, as the show is already suggesting. Because like when she shows up in Seattle, I'm like, oh, well, the next episode, they're going to have like a face-off.
Right, but it's also been, what, 3 months? So, like, where Abby has Abby been hanging out in Seattle the whole time, or have she and her friends been doing other things? Like, at least in the game, and this is where, again, they could change some things, whatever, but there are some near misses where they're like, one is just a few steps ahead of the other, and they almost catch up, and then something happens and they don't quite, and like,
right.
But it's also about the world. It continues to be like these different factions of people and different ways that people survive, and kind of, it's all the human story. The infected are the infected. Maybe they're getting smarter, maybe they're evolving, but like, the story has always really more been about how humans navigate these challenges and what they do to each other in the name of survival.
Right.
And so, like, you have these cycles
The Walking Dead.
of violence where it's like, they're looking for revenge, and like, why, it doesn't save lives. You're not saving lives. You're just hurting people to hurt people, and what if you're all wrong? And I think that's but I think that's the really hard thing. In the game, I think it was easier to kind of separate and go like, well, I played as Joel and I really like Joel and he's really cool, but like, yeah, I was the one who had to button mash my way through killing a hospital full of people, and maybe that wasn't quite the right call. And I think on the show, it's a lot easier to be like, well, I just watched him do it, but like, it's Pedro Pascal, so like, I'm still totally on his side. And like, the reality is, he potentially ruined humanity's only hope of a cure, of real long-term survival, of getting out of this situation that they're in. He potentially doomed a lot of people. Similar, and then Abby, right? We watched her. she didn't just kill Joel. She woke up the entire infected horde that then went and attacked Jackson. She has a lot of bodies on her. Ellie has certainly been a part of killing a lot of people, and I imagine on her trip she will kill more. Like they continue to do this.
What's funny is this Sunday, the Walking Dead Jeffrey Dean Morgan spinoff returns, and now it's going up against The Last of Us, which is just like, what are you doing?
What is the Negan show going to be about?
Well, this is the second season of the Negan show.
Oh, is this the one where they're in New York?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's him and Maggie, right?
Mm-hmm. And I actually think it's the better of the spinoffs because I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah.
But it's nothing. I mean, it's so trifling compared to The Last of Us at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because it's like we kind of joke about, like, I mean, Dan, you said it earlier, something about like, is The Last of Us actually good?
And it looks very well made.
It's very well made. And but it does. There is a part of me that sits there and go, like, is it the HBO production value that kind of like, it looks really good, but does it actually have the substance? And I go back and forth on that because I know there are interesting questions there, and I'm hoping that the show will do them justice. But I also want to take the show on its own merits, and like I believe that adaptations can be different than the source material and can come up with new angles and new insights and be genuine. And I have a really hard time. I cannot figure out what I think of the show just yet. I enjoyed the first season immensely. And
I think it's very good. And as someone who's watched all of The Walking Dead, it's like much better than peak Walking Dead, which is like 4th, 5th season.
Yeah.
And now it's like miles and miles and miles ahead. Although last year, near the end, it sort of felt Walking Dead-ish for a couple of episodes. The episodes with Melanie Linsky,
it got more grim. Yeah. And we're gonna have more of that. You come into more factions that have bad rulers and whatever, and it's it's Jeffrey Wright is in this season. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna get plenty of that feeling coming in. And I think a lot of it is going to come down to, I think Bella Ramsey is doing a really good job. But I'm also curious to see how the loss of Pedro Pascal.
Right.
Because he was such an, like, and even just from the HBO standpoint, like he was the bankable face of this series. Can the rest of it hold together in his absence? I think it will. I think she's very, very good at the role.
And Caleb Deaver is really good, and Isabella Merced is really good.
Yeah, like the.
But we're
already seeing some of the shedding of that, right? Like they've left Jackson. How much are we going to see? How much more are we going to see of Catherine O'Hara? How much we normally Tommy, like in the game, Tommy is a part of this whole mission, but now you've left him behind. Like that extended cast that we came to know
may not be a big part of the show going ahead.
Right. I do think although I do think they keep bringing up Eugene, who was Catherine O'Hara's character's husband. I do think we know that he's been cast. It's going to be Joe Pantaleone. Pantaleone.
Yeah, I like him.
So which means there is going to be a flashback at some point to kind of fill in his character.
Oh, so we might see Pedro Pascal again.
So we might see her more. We'll see him more. Yeah. So, and which is one of the normal ways that the show has expanded on the game, like these flashbacks that fill in different characters and stuff like that. So, yeah. But regardless of just from where the season stands right now, I think it's not even about being faithful to the game. It's just a huge swing to kill off a character like that so early in the second season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I was actually impressed that it felt like it was a surprise. Like, I feel like gamers didn't, I mean, I'm sure there were hints or whatever, but I feel like people kind of kept their mouths shut.
Yeah, I had no idea.
And let viewers experience it. Yeah.
No clue. I thought that Ellie might have died. It never occurred to me that Joel would die.
Yeah.
But it works.
It totally works. So far.
All right. I will probably watch it, even though
Wait, you watched the first season, right?
I did. It was fine.
Yeah, the second season.
I never played the games, so I don't have that attachment to it.
Yeah.
I think my biggest I think I said this when the first season aired, but my biggest concern was that the fact that I was so much more invested in the one-off episode than the rest of the season, like emotionally, that actually gave me a lot. Like, it's almost like they did such a good job there that it gave me pause on how much do I actually like this show, because that story was phenomenal and the rest of it was good. But and it's not. I don't mean to take away from any of the, like, this is an incredibly hard show to make. Clearly, this is like the scale of it, the and to make all of that work and look good is impossible. But I think, just personally, I want, like, the shows that I like watching week to week tend to have more emotional engagement and not like if I had to choose one or the other, I would rather have better emotional engagement for me and lessen the scope.
Yeah.
Dan, I will just say that as a person like you who likes character-driven, emotionally driven stories, that the best show post-Pitt right now is probably Friends and Neighbors.
Andor.
No, Friends
and Neighbors. Oh.
It's really good.
So it's still
I did like Jonathan Tropper. I just haven't seen it yet.
It's fantastic and you would love it.
That's the show I keep forgetting to watch.
But is it Andor?
Is anything Andor?
I don't.
No.
I mean, I've never understood all your obsession with Andor, but great.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dustin. You don't like a show that's brilliantly made?
Yeah,
it is brilliantly made, and it's technically like a really incredible achievement, but it doesn't really speak to me the same way.
I'm sorry that Stellan Skarsgård's monologue in episode 8 or whatever that was last season didn't move the needle for you.
So that's my question, actually. Like, so does this continue to be just you don't really like sci-fi, you definitely don't really like Star Wars thing, and you can't, Andor, it reeks too much of Star Wars for you to kind of get past it? Or is it the show itself?
I like it enough to watch it.
Okay.
But I don't love it.
Yeah.
I don't understand, like, everybody's like, the parallels with the real, I mean, like, there are other shows that are better at that. And it's a very sort of like subtle, like, parallel, but it doesn't feel like it's speaking to the present moment to me that strongly.
Yeah. I mean, Daredevil did that. Like, I don't think anyone's
Daredevil actually
Daredevil
did it better, I thought.
I think that I will say that for me, Andor is very, like, Tony Gilroy as a writer is a very, like, writer's writer, where he loves his dialogue in a way that and gets away with playing with dialogue in a way that I think few shows get to do. So that, on top of the world building, the action, the acting, everything, like, that's kind of like the extra icing that for me is very entertaining.
No, and Tony Gilroy has made a Star Wars show that's the closest thing that I've ever been to, like, liking Star Wars. To his credit.
Wow. But instead you just watch Ransom County.
Ransom County, yeah. Oh, it was shit. It was absolute shit.
This is what gets. So wait, I just want to go back to something because we just did
But
this
I
whole
still watch
bracket, right?
Andor.
No. But my point is, we did a whole bracket about the things that our shameful omissions, right? And it was disappointing because Dustin has seen fucking everything,
Right.
So like he had nothing to be ashamed of, except that really the problem is next bracket needs to be what are the shows we're ashamed we kept watching? Because that's the one where Dustin's going to shine. He watches everything.
But
that's true.
Do it for my
including
job.
Ransom County.
And
what is Ransom County, Dustin?
Nobody cares.
I want to know.
I read your review and I still don't understand.
We're at the end of the podcast.
Not that it was a bad review. It was just sort of like I didn't know the show existed.
Oh no, it's like a really big hit. I mean, I don't know if it's a hit, but it's really big on Netflix right now. It's well, their answer to Yellowstone, but it's nothing like Yellowstone. It's just a soap opera set in Texas on a ranch.
Wait, is this the
Josh?
This isn't
Duhamel and Minka Kelly.
Oh no, I was gonna say this isn't the oh shoot, what's his name? Kurt Sutter Western.
No.
Okay.
No. I wish.
Okay.
Ransom County or Country, and now I can't remember. It's like really one of the worst shows I've ever watched. Just terribly written, terribly acted, poorly plotted, just string you along, but just entertaining enough that you can't turn it off.
And you didn't turn it off.
No, I can't turn these things off because you know what? I did skip. I just read the reviews for You, and I was like, fuck it. I'm done.
What happened at the end of You? Did you find out?
Yeah. He got thrown in jail.
I've never I tried watching like the first season, and I liked it enough, but I then was like, whatever. Does he go to jail?
It's Ransom Canyon. Sorry.
God damn it! Really?
Did you write a whole Did you write a whole review calling it County? You did. I read it.
Did I?
That's amazing.
You definitely did not call it Canyon.
To look at it.
You 100% did not call it Canyon.
I called it County. Oh my God! The whole time. Jesus Christ! God damn it! God damn it!
Oh.
All right, wait.
Wow.
That's the note we need to end on.
Yeah. We no more TV talk. We're at the end anyway. There's so much we haven't talked about.
I'm on a site, and I just
Lazarus. The rehearsal's back. I haven't watched it yet.
It's okay.
Oh my God, that rehearsal last night was so good.
All right, I need to catch up.
I have to watch that.
No spoilers.
I cannot stress enough how good that was. Yes.
Wait, did you watch season 1, Tori?
No, but can I don't need to, right?
You don't
need to, but
right.
It's
season 2. I like season 1. Season 2 is so much better.
That's the thing. I was like, I might just jump in on season 2.
Yeah,
season 2,
you probably should.
Season 2 is not really that funny, but it's real and insightful and clever and I don't know. It's just really, really good television. I've been blown away by it. I watched the second episode twice just because it was that good.
Okay. Dustin, no commenter has yet pointed out that you got the name wrong. So
no, and have you gotten any emails from Netflix? Nobody knows that the show is called Ransom Canyon.
Oh
Ransom
my God.
Canyon.
Even in the headline.
What if you're getting really weird SEO because you got the name like it works for somehow?
Yeah,
it's not. And that might
be why. Do you need to republish it with the right name?
Jeez, I might.
All right,
I would love a publisher's note. A previous version of this article was released.
Got the title of the show wrong.
So wrong.
I wrote that review at 6 a.m. So, but it wouldn't have mattered. I would have called it Ransom County.
Minka Kelly owns the local dance hall.
Yeah.
All right.
In a canyon.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Anyway, that's the show. We will, unless, something comes up, but hopefully not, we'll be back next week. I don't think anyone's going on vacation anytime soon, so have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Oh.